Hi guys, Assalamualaikum. So today we're going to be covering in this particular video the idea of supply, evaluating supply and property investment. How does one decide an area under supply, fairly supply, oversupply, right? And you know the way a lot of people seem to think here is that when you see a lot of buildings being built, oversupply, too many buildings, sure oversupply, right? Because I bought into an area whereby everyone told me oversupply, and yet the property went from 680,000 to now 1.1 million in just a couple of years. So, despite everyone told me oversupply, you can see building there's a lot of supply. Why the hell did I still make money? Right? So, I'm going to share with you what I thought when it comes to supply. So, quickly go to the presentation. Now, so supply is our fifth rule. So we've talked about new versus old, we talked about median and mean, we talked about tier, we talked about booster in all our past 4 videos. If you haven't watched it, please go and watch it. All right. So now the fifth one is called supply. Now, so if I were to put things into perspective, I want to start with the question: which area do you think has got plenty of supply? Is it Bukit Jalil? Is it Cyberjaya? Is it Mont Kiara? Or is it KLCC? Okay, let's go look at the photos. So, if you look at the photos alone, and this is the KLCC skyline, I think one can argue that KLCC has got more supply than everywhere else, because this is from the photos, right? Now, and this is basically Mont Kiara, okay? Compared to KLCC versus Mont Kiara, you can tell KLCC has got more supply, right? This is Bukit Jalil. So, between KLCC, Mont Kiara, Bukit Jalil, you can tell Bukit Jalil has got lesser supply compared to Mont Kiara or KLCC. And then this is basically Cyberjaya, right? And Cyberjaya, if you can see here, compared to Bukit Jalil just now, you can see a lot of it. This one, there's a lot of green pocket lands compared to Mont Kiara, compared to KLCC, yang almost start the green. So between the 4 areas, if you look at the photo alone, you could conclude that Cyberjaya maybe don't have as many supply as KLCC, don't have as many supply as Bukit Jalil, don't have as many supply as Mont Kiara. But how would the property perform, from these 4 areas? Now, and the reality here is that Cyberjaya, the studio unit, in 2013, you can actually rent a studio for 1,008, 2,000. Chevrolet Square as an example. And today, rental are 1,000 and below, right? For a studio unit. Bukit Jalil, those days, 2005 to 3,000, today below 2005. But the 2 areas, for example, like KLCC, right, and Mont Kiara, if you look at the 2,000 square foot units, those days are renting above 10,000, today is 7,000 to about 10,000 rental. Mont Kiara, last time renting for about 1,000 plus, today going for about 2,500, 3,000 for new ones, right? So suffice to say, guys, Mont Kiara has done better compared to KLCC, compared to Bukit Jalil, compared to Cyberjaya when it comes to rental in the last couple of years. And Mont Kiara is the area that I bought for 690,000, my homestay house, a couple of years ago in 2013, right? And there was the time where everyone was telling me, Faizul, don't buy Mont Kiara. Mont Kiara oversupply, bro, oversupply. I cannot meet one guy who didn't tell me this place oversupply. But to me, guys, that point of time, it doesn't make sense. Even though we can claim it's oversupply, but at that point of time, it's cheaper to buy Mont Kiara than Bukit Jalil. And Bukit Jalil is not the better area than Mont Kiara, right? Given the proximity to city is better, right? Proximity to international schools are better. Commercial activity is better. Okay. So, if you look from the photos, Cyberjaya undersupply compared to KLCC ataupun Mont Kiara. But how come Cyberjaya performance is very poor, right? So, KLCC Mont Kiara has got more supply, Cyber and Bukit Jalil has got more locals. Yet KLCC and Mont Kiara, Mont Kiara rentals and sub-sales are holding quite well compared to Cyberjaya and Bukit Jalil, despite being more expensive and despite being more units per se. Now, and the reality here is because of usage and ecosystem and job creation, sorry, right? So the supply must match usage, must match job creation. So what does usage basically means? Number one here is that the reason why Cyberjaya dropped in value in terms of rental is simply because they are just far more invested compared to people who buy for own stay or actually use their home for own occupancy. All right. So therefore, over time, the number of available supply in Cyberjaya is high simply because majority of the people who buy in Cyberjaya were invested. They're not consuming the unit. They don't own use the unit. Yeah, compared to, for example, like Mont Kiara, whereby in the last 5 to 10 years, you see a dramatically increase of local buying into condos in Mont Kiara, people who are just like me, right? Buying into condos in Mont Kiara for own stay. Right? That's the big difference, right? You've seen the same thing happen in Cyberjaya, but the other thing that Cyberjaya don't have, whereby Mont Kiara basically has, is this idea called job creation, right? Mont Kiara is just less than 10 minutes to KL Central, less than 10 minutes to PJ, less than 10 minutes to TTDI, 15 to 20 minutes only to KLCC. So if you look at jobs within a 30 minutes radius, 30 minit saja punya radius, there are easily 1 million jobs available 30 minutes from Mont Kiara. You can't say the same for Bukit Jalil, you can't say the same for Cyberjaya. There are just not as many jobs nearby Bukit Jalil or Cyberjaya, and today that's the reason why rental has basically dropped. When you increase the supply, demand remains the same. What happens? Rental drop. But if your product is fairly supplied, demand continue to either maintain or go up, that's where your rental can hold, and in certain cases, it will even go up. So for example, a studio in Arcoris Mont Kiara today is renting between 2,500 to 3,000, right? And why is a studio unit being able to rent so much higher than a 3-bedroom in Bukit Jalil? Is simply because there are not many supply of new studio units in Mont Kiara. That's why, right? And that's why the price rental, the price in subsale has remained quite high. If you compare to Cyber and Bukit Jalil, is there a lot of supply of new studio unit, new condo, 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom? Plenty. And that's why price has dropped, rental value is also dropped. That means, guys, you can't say an area is oversupplied if there's a lot more jobs going to be created within half an hour of that area. Okay? But if you create 3,000 supply, but there's less than 1,000 jobs half an hour from that area is oversupplied even though there's just 3,000 units. So guys, when you look at this question of oversupply, don't just look at the number of buildings available. You must also understand how many jobs are available within the surrounding area, within a half an hour commute, setengah jam, 30 minit to go to work, right? That's when you can determine whether area oversupply, fairly supply, or undersupply, right? So to give an example, based on the properties that we are buying as of today, why we are confident. The first one here, less than 3,000 competing supply. Oops, right? Let me put on my laser pointer. Less than 3,000 competing supply, but you're going to have 20,000 jobs within a 3-kilometer radius. So 3,000 units versus 20,000 jobs within 3-kilometer radius, right? And you're going to have MRT, which means you can take MRT and access 6-figure of jobs, more than 100,000 jobs accessible by MRT. So we're not worried about oversupply, right? Now, the other grade A property, similar area. The grade B one, less than 5,000 supply, but 20,000 jobs. And with LRT, MRT within the area, now you got 7-figure jobs. So that means few million jobs, more than 1 million jobs available within the LRT and MRT line because this area has got LRT and MRT as well. So 2 lines, right? And the last one, similar, you have access to MRT, right? You have more than 2,000 jobs within a 3-kilometer radius, right? And the MRT give you access to 6-figure jobs. So that means, guys, if you buy a place with LRT ataupun MRT punya connectivity, you are normally quite okay. Now, like I said, the exception here is that when the place has got too many supply, like for example, Bukit Jalil has more than triple its supply in the last 15 years. It's too many units as of today. That's why rental has dropped, right? Cyberjaya situation might change once MRT is completed. Okay, but there's still quite a lot of units in Cyberjaya, right? So you want to buy property whereby the supply is fair, and possibly if you have access to public transportation, good public transportation means one of the reasons why Bukit Jalil is suffering is because it's Star LRT. Star LRT doesn't go to any important workplace, basically. Doesn't go to KLCC, doesn't go to Bukit Bintang, doesn't go to TRX, doesn't go to Bandar Malaysia. It didn't really go to anywhere important, Star LRT. But Putra, for example, rental is higher, guys. You know, you look at Arada Masara, you look at Wansamaju, there's a lot of units. But Putra seems to do quite well because it goes to KLCC. You can go to Masjid Jami, right? Star pun boleh pergi lah. Masjid Jami is the only important one. KLCC, KL Central, you can pergi Bangsa South, you know, you can go to PJ. So there's just a lot more jobs in Putra LRT compared to Star LRT, right? So which is why, based on the number of jobs available in the line, you can predict whether the area ataupun, you know, are you buying a place which is undersupply or oversupply. In our case, we want to buy things which is completely under supply, right? So, in summary, median and premium of new properties versus old is more important than booster, more important than supply, more important than tier. So the first two cannot go wrong, right? After the first two is correct, then you look at supply, you look at tier, you look at booster, right? And you must determine whether it's supply, oversupply, undersupply or not based on the number of jobs available within the area, right? And the best part here is that when you buy property nearby LRT, MRT, you are not necessarily requiring demand within the area itself, but anyone who takes LRT, MRT to work cannot be a possible tenant. And that's how, you know, when you buy property nearby LRT, MRT, you tend to get better returns compared to property with no LRT, MRT, right? So, I hope you have enjoyed the lesson today talking about supply. And our next lesson will be talking about maturity point, or which basically translates how long will it take you after you buy this property A, how long will it take you to make money? Now, you want to make money less than 5 years, not wait 20 years for you to be able to make money. Looking forward to see you in the next lesson. Take care. Assalamualaikum.